In this lecture, we will start a new chapter, which is arrays and array list. And we will begin with the arrays, and then some terms about it, some how to use it, and so on. And then we will continue with the array list class. And let's begin with the arrays. So arrays is basically a group of variable elements that we keep of the same type. So it's not like the list in Python. Because in Python, in list you can keep different data types. Like in a list you can put string and an integer and a boolean and so on. But in an array we should keep always only one type. You say either it's integer only, string only, boolean only, and so on. And they are objects, so which means that we created them like we create the other objects by using the new keyword. So we allocate memory in this space in our memory. And memory allocation of an array is contiguous. So what it means is, well, one thing is, in the memory, let's say that I want to keep an array of 3 elements, and let's say that these desks represent our memory locations, so that the first item, if it is here, then I will know that the next item will be next to that, and the third item will be next to that location. So it is contiguous. We will do an experiment actually when we have seen in the array list. In the array list, it is not the case. What it means is the first item might be there in the memory location, the next item can be in a very different location, and then third item can be in a very different location. Well, this is why is this important? Do you have any guess?
Speed of
Yes, it directly affects the speed of your calculation executions. So that's why that information is actually important. And array size is fixed, constant. So what it means is when we create an array, we cannot say that okay, in the beginning, let's say that we said, okay, this will be an array of 10 integers. Then we cannot say, okay, I want to now increase it to 11. This is not possible in Java for the arrays. So it's actually a big issue for us, like to resize an array, because if let's say that you have an array of 10 and then you want to make it 11, then what you should do is you should create another array that has a size of 11. Now you have to copy all those 10 items to your new array. Then you will have a new array that has an element of size of 11, and then you should just remove the old one. So it's really a complicated process to increase, if you want to increase the size of an array.
Can't I create another array but join them together?
So I can join them, but the joined array will be a different array in the memory. So in the memory, I cannot use the same array and just increase its size. So this is what I'm trying to say. Or we can do some more operations to have a larger array, but that array will be a different array in the memory at the end of the day. And in an array, we can keep primitive data types like int, boolean, and so on. And we can also keep the object data type. So any object that we define, let's say that we define student object, then we can have a student array also. Well, these things will be actually more meaningful when we see the array list, because in an array list, we cannot keep a primitive data type, and array list size can be changed. In an array list, the location is not contiguous. So everything that we are saying is actually not true for the array list. So this is actually the things that also that makes different arrays from the array list. And how we create an array? Well, there are multiple ways to do it. First one is, again, we should always say the data type. Like I want to keep an integer in it. So I need to, then I cannot change it. So we say int and then the square brackets. So it becomes now my data type. I'm saying, okay, this will be an array. Okay, this is its name. And then I'm allocating memory with it, with this new keyword. And then this 12 is its size. So I should also say it when I create it. I cannot say, okay, this will be empty, but later on I'll decide. This is not also possible. At the time of creating an array, I should say that, okay, I need an array that has a element of 12. But of course, I can declare it and then later initialize it. That's also possible. I can declare multiple arrays in one statement. Like you can just literally treat it as different data types that we do with the others. Or I can declare arrays again here with the same and variables in the same statement. So this will be an integer array. B and C will be just integers. So this is also possible. And when I do this, like integer 12, its content is literally nothing. It's just empty. So we just allocated memory from the space, but there is nothing inside there. Like it's like you rent a house, but you didn't move in. It's empty, but you have no house for that. This is you might think it in this way. For some reason, okay, this is not seen. Okay. But if you know what you want to put in an array, you can also do it with the curly brackets. Then it will be, in this example, for instance, it will be an array that has 5 elements in it, and the elements will be from 10 to 50. So that's also possible.
Why the last one we didn't write new and?
Well, this is just the syntax. So in this one, we know what we will put. So this is just the syntax for the Java that we can also do it in this way. But this is only possible if we know the content of an array. So I cannot say that, okay, I need an array and its size will be 5. What I'm here saying is that, yes, I will create an array. Its size will be 5. And the first one will be 10, second will be 20, and so on.
So in the first one, we put an array that have 12 places inside?
Yes, slots, but not full yet. So we need to fill it later on.
All the types have array?
All types have an arrays.
Yeah, I mean like int, float, you know?
Oh, yes. So we can create array of anything. We can create a Boolean array, integer array, float array, double array, you name it. Any object, like if you create a student object, then you can create a student array. So we can create array of every data type.
Can you explain again? So we have 12 arrays here. Declare arrays and variables with the same statement.
What is it?
Declaring arrays and variables in the same statement.
Yeah, here. So what we are saying is we declare that A will be an integer array. I understand it with the square brackets. Then B will be just an integer. I just declared it, I didn't initialize it. And C will be also an integer, and its value will be 3. So if you just want to, I mean, you could do it in a separate lines, but if you just want to write them in one line, that's also a valid statement.
3 is only for C, right?
3 is only for C, yes, correct. Shall I proceed? And when we, again, declare an array, integer num, as you can see, and then we create it with the size of 3, what happens is, again, we just allocate memory, but its content will be first empty. Since it's an integer array, well, now the default value will be 0, but you can say that it is an empty value. So basically, it is filling with its default values. So if it was a Boolean array, the default values will be false. If it was an object array, like a student array, then all the lists will have this null value. Or if it's a string value, string array, then also the values will be null. So basically, it's filling with their default values.
You put the last slide, you put the square brackets in front of the array. Is that right?
You mean
In front of the array.
this one?
Yes.
Yeah, both are valid. So you can either do it in this way, like integer, square brackets, and C, or you can also do it this way, integer A and then the square brackets. They are both valid. And well, as I said, we need to keep only the same type. Like if you want to have an integer, then we'll say integer square brackets. If you want to keep double, then it should be, we'll just say double array, char array, and so on. So this is, but always the should be the same data type. And I think I said the other cases, like the size should be specified and you cannot change it later on. And when we create it in this way with these curly brackets, what happens is that it gives us the indexes and also it fills it with the values that we defined. And index also again starts with 0. Unlike Python, we do not have the index -1, -2. You will get an error. Or the index should be always between 0 and the number of elements -1. So we have 5 elements, so the last index of the last item is 4 because of this.
Why the index starts from 0, not from 1?
That's just a computer scientist decision. But more in almost all programming languages, the first index is 0. I think in MATLAB, the index starts with 1, but at least all the other languages that I know, the index starts from 0. So why it's 0, why it's not 1? Well, that's just an engineering decision. But once you become more familiar with the computer science, then you also start to count from 0. So this is one of the differences that we have. Like when you ask people to count so up to 10, if they're not computer scientists, they will start from 1. But if they're computer scientists, probably they will start from 0. But from a technical perspective, why we have 0? Well, I think the answer is why not 0? Because I represent the bits. I will spend a space to represent the indexes. So I already, let's say that we spend, I'm just making up 5 bits to represent the indexes. I already represent zeros. So this is my smallest number. So that's why I will start it from that point. If I had started from 1, I would just not use that location for no reason. So I think this is just a better optimization of usages also.
What we if put the first element like 0, the curly brackets.
Yes.
We change 1 and we put 0.
That is possible. So these are two different cases. This is the indexes. It will always start from 0 and increment by 1. But whatever we put here, it can be any integer in this case. It can be a minus, it can be a very large number, random number. As long as its number is an integer, that will be valid. All right. Shall I proceed? I think I already talked about it. So I will just move on. And well, arrays can be a class attribute. So if you define a class, you can put an array as an attribute. Like a student has a list of grades, so you can put it in that way. It can be a local variable. So when you are defining a function, you can also declare and initialize an array within that. You can give the arrays as parameters, as in our main method, for instance, that we see. We give an array, string array, as a parameter for that. And arrays can be also return values. So a function can return an array of something. So actually, you can think it as this way. Arrays are just objects. So wherever you can use an object, you can also use an array in those cases.
Value like functions?
Excuse me?
Like functions can return values?
Yes, so when we define a function can return also an array of data. Like, let's say that I want to find the students in a class. So I will, the function will find them and then return it as a list.
I mean, with keyword return or different way?
Oh, no, the same, yeah, with the keyword return, of course, yes. With the keyword return. For instance, let's get an example here. So this is a very common method. Let me zoom in. Maybe you are not able to see it very well. So this is done for initialization function. What basically we are doing is, this is a very common method that for many classes we implemented. So we want to just create an array for a given size, and we want to fill it with some initial value, with this same value, and then it will return an integer array. So what we do is, within this function, we first create this integer. So integer array as a new int, and then we use this size parameter to set its size of that array, and then we iterate over this array by using this for loop, and this array.length gives me the number of items that I can put in an array. So the size of this array, and then at each iteration I basically say, for index I, put this init value, which is the parameter that I defined. Once I am done with this, I will return my array.
So Doctor, all array will be the same value?
For this function, yes, it is. Like as an example, on a blackboard, I set up the course. Now there are the students. I see the enrolled ones. I need to get a list of their scores in an array, but it should be initialized by 0. So because you didn't take any assignment yet, so their initial value will be 0. So I'm just initializing it with 0, for instance.
Doctor, I have a question in this.
So arrays are objects. So what it means is, also, like if you have these two arrays, integer a and b, their content are same. But if you say that if a is equal to b, the result will be false. Because the reason is that when we use this double equal sign, we just compare their memory locations. Since they are kept in the different memory locations, they are the result will be false. And so if you want to really compare whether two objects are equal, arrays are equal, actually let's do it together, okay? I don't want to look at this, but I want to just write it with you, okay? So what I'll do is, I'll go to my test class. Yeah, I think we can do it here. Let me zoom in. Let's write it here. It will return Boolean. Are they equal? Let's say that we are now defining a function which will basically take two integer arrays. For simplicity, I will say integer array. Okay. Then I want to know, I will just compare whether these two arrays are same or not. Okay. So let's think about it together. Let's do it together. What should we do first?
Maybe a for loop to see the number of values inside, so we can see if they are equal or not.
Yes, so in a for loop, we should go iterate over each of them and then check if they are equal or not. But before that, we need to do some more things. Lengths, yeah, that's also possible, because if their lengths are different, then I don't need to do this for loop iteration. That it will be definitely different. Yes, please. Huh? Not equals. Dot equals. Oh, dot equals. It is. I believe it's not initial. It should not be implemented yet. Dot equals function there is, but it is not implemented. So, and therefore we have to now implement it. Actually, we are trying to implement that kind of a function actually here. So how can we implement it? So one thing is, we said that first we need to compare their length. So if their size is different, then there's no way that they can be same. So I can just immediately return false for this. But if their size is same, so that I can continue with this this one, then I can go with this for loop, and then I can say, okay, then I need to go from 0 to a.length or b.length. It doesn't matter, because I know that now they have the same values. Then what should I do? Can you help me?
Could you do while AI does not
we can also do it with the while loop. So
That's easy.
that's also possible. Like it's just in Java, while and for loops are very. I mean, you can always write this for loop with a while loop. You can write a while loop with a for loop. So that's.
I think subset from or not very.
Subset? No, we are not in the sets part yet. Yes, please.
If A and put it inside I equals B.
Mm-hmm. So if this one equals
Doesn't equal B.
is not equal, yes, not equal bi. Oops, I made a mistake here.
Return false.
Yes. So if they're not same, then I know that if one of them is different, then I can say that they are not same. So I don't need to continue it, then I can just return false. I don't need to check the following statements. Then okay, where should I put this return true? Because in this case, I'm just after the for loop. Yes, after the for loop, I need to return true.
Victor, what does it mean? A bracket I.
A bracket I means
Does it mean array?
array is A is an array in this example. A bracket I means the item in the array A in the index I. So actually I had a slide for this one. Let me show it here. Yeah. So let's say that we have this numbers array in which we have all these items with these indexes. If I say numbers square bracket 0, it gives me the value that is kept in the index 0, which is 1. If I say 1, it will give me the value that is in the index 1, which is 2, and so on. So now in my code, when I say a square bracket I mean that give me the item in the index I of array A. If they are same with the item in array B in the index of I, if they are not same, then they cannot be the same. These arrays cannot be same. There's one thing we also need to do it, by the way, here. One more check. What can it be? Yes. Not empty, but I think what I got what you meant, but we don't call it empty because length. If it is empty, their length will be 0, so that would be fine. If you remember when I said that, like for instance, for the equals function, you have to consider there all the possible cases because now you are defining a function, and then but you don't know in which scenario it will be used. So maybe the data that I got maybe is invalid, or maybe something that I expect. For instance, when I do these operations, I'm assuming that these arrays are initialized. They are not null. Yeah, in the parameter, but maybe they can give this. Let me do it in this way. And let me call it here actually. I can call this function that I defined here. It doesn't have to be. I can call it with all these nulls because arrays are at the end of just an object, and objects can be null. So why is the problem? Because when it is null, let me run it, we'll get an error now. We get a null pointer exception. The reason is, again, when we go to here, what is happening here is, when Java is trying to run this, it's saying that, okay, give me the length of the thing that doesn't exist. So that's what we are trying to say actually. So what we are saying. So yes, if A is null or B is null, if any of them is null, I can say that okay, they cannot be equal because one of them doesn't exist. Like the other one. So if both of them doesn't exist, they are not equal. If one of them exists and the other one doesn't, again they are not equal.
Can we return?
Can we return? Null, no, not null, because our function says that we return Boolean. So it should be either true or false.
When you return false, does it exit the loop?
When we return false, yes, it returns, it exits not only from loop, it actually it exits from the function. So when we say return false, we will exit from the function. Or here, if we return false, we will exit from the function. If we return false here, we will exit from the loop and also the function.
So when we return false, will it continue the process of the...
No, it won't. It will finish the function itself. So if there was, like, let's say that in the first iteration, we got this return false, then all the following iterations will not be executed because we will exit from the for loop.
That's because the method requires Boolean?
Boolean is not, this is how return works. So if it was break, then we would only exit from the for loop. But when we say return, it means that, like, give up everything. We are evacuating this function. We are just leaving it, returning to where we are called. Okay, so this is what we are saying when we say return. All right. Any questions so far? Well, we have 15 minutes, and I would like to actually stop here for the in-class activity for the quiz.